is turning into seconds and milliseconds and microseconds if possible. So for future scenarios, it's wide ranging. We are trying to create a world where it's all machine driven and driven to make life of a human being as simple as possible. So that's the future scenario. And then what we have is empowering users with business intelligence. So business intelligence, data warehousing, how would I evolve it and how do I make it empowering so that it drives the entire the organization. And then the organizational efficiencies and optimizing business processes here. So what does it mean is that every point in time, and the ones at the bottom says what we need to do. We need to measure, decide, manage. So this is what we already do. We already measure what all the systems that we have in place, how it works and where it works and all of that. And then take some decisions based on the report, on the measures that we have done. So like for example, in store A, this particular brand of soap sold X number. So that's a measure. That means that in store in Calicut for let's say Big Bazaar, only Lux soap had 70,000 pieces being sold in a month. So that's a measure. And then I take a decision whether I need to keep more Lux in my store or on my stands, or do I need to keep any other particular brand of product in that place that I have. And then I need to manage that today. So that's the current situation that we have. And then what we need for the future is optimize, discover and innovate. I need to optimize this entire process so that I drive the best result that I get, and for that I need to discover what are the processes. And how do we do that? Through the semantic modeling and predictive analysis and other things that I was talking about. So I do all the discover activities and then I come up with an innovation as to how I would drive it. So now this bottom line with the top line together is what kind of drives your business, and these are the verticals are here are the ones that kind of put some architecture or a governance model in place to drive it. So organizational efficiency, one of the examples is Satyam. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from them. Great organization, done a lot of work. One thing that missed with them is this, transparency and collaboration. Okay, so and at the same time, if I have a alignment, transparency and collaboration, then you can have a corporation which can go and sell, and we can have the organization efficiency built in. Right, so that we can have that organization sustain. If you think of it, Coca-Cola is a company which is more than 180 years old, and believe it or not, they sell the same product that they created in the 1800s. They still sell Coke, which tasted the same, ingredients are the same, and they still drive money out of that particular product. There is very few corporations in the world which has not changed its products over 180 years. Another example, Walmart is a company which is the largest revenue maker in the world with no product of their own. They do not have even a piece of paper which is made in Walmart. They only sell products which are brought in from other places. So look at these two examples. Coca-Cola has not changed its products for 180 years. Walmart does not have a product in its stable. They have never built a product by themselves. But then they have the organizational efficiency to drive that. Okay, why? Because one of the examples which is always said for Walmart is Walmart is the first person to look for the most efficient and the least cost place to deliver a product. If I can get a bunion or a t-shirt or anything, a hanky, a kerchief, whatever, if it's built in Calicut and if that's the cheapest that's available, they'll come to Calicut, pick it up and sell it in the United States. That's their efficiency. And how do they do it is by all of this. They have a collaborative mechanism, they've got transparency in the way they work and all of that. And now, how do I optimize all of this businesses? So, what you would see in most of the places is, like for example, if you take the case of this college, when you come in, if you think of it, when you come into the college, there's a registration process. There's another process which tracks your marks for every year, and there's another process which tracks as to where you left to. So, there are all three different processes which will stand by themselves. And what you need to build is something which can talk to each of them, or which is one particular product which will sell. So that's the optimization of business processes with the business intelligence, so that I can bring all of these products together, which is built on a common framework, and that's the framework that comes up next. Or other thing, that's the one which I showed you already. So that's the framework that's already built in, which is used to run the scenario. Okay, so this is again a piece of kind of thought-provoking stuff. What this means, if you guys, I think most of you would recognize this. I've kind of stolen or rather tried to build a new product called Biggle, which comes from Google. So what does Google do today? It returns a search for whatever you give, right? Whatever you type in, it will return a search. And what this is trying to say is, can I come up with an enterprise search which would tell me, like for example, if I take a simple example, medicine to cure fever, or rather, let's put it the other way around. We all know that if you take crocin, your fever goes off. But then if I'm trying to search crocin, and if I'm trying to get a data which says that does crocin solve body pain also, you will never get it in the search that you have to do. Okay, so what do you want to see? And if you will see in some of the websites, it's already trying to be incorporated. It shows ads of companies which are related to the search that you have given. And what we are talking about here is trying to integrate these together to have a system in place or a search mechanism which searches in tons or gigabytes, terabytes, or picobytes of data to look at what you're looking for. Can crocin also solve my body pain? Does it return that? That's exactly what I'm trying to get from this slide. So that's where we've kind of envision this particular symbol which we chose to call as bigger. And then what it means is I'm going to search for a particular thing, but then if I can bring some reporting and analysis already to it, and then what I come together here, the convergence here is content analytics. That means whatever content that you're searching on the globe, if it can give an analytics on it, if it can do an analysis which is a statistical analysis, and if it can give me an output, that's the kind of world that we're talking about. So it's not just what I'm also trying to bring over here is that just not the corporates, business, money that we're trying to tell here. It's also about knowledge. It's also about all that we need to know in this world. So this is another kind of perspective to the same thing. Where if you look at the structure and qualification of data as it goes higher and interaction and style, what we want to come to is this, which kind of will give you an analytic look into the kind of data that you're looking for. So BI as a service that I was talking about. So if I can expose a service, what that means is, as I was telling there, right? So we already have all of these capabilities already there. As you guys would see in your final years, and whoever takes up data warehousing, business intelligence, you will see that dimension, slicing, dicing, dashboards, forecast, predictions. Most of these and those factors are already there with the kind of system that we have built. And then what we want to come together is these are all the organizations. For example, Nielsen. So this is a company which does a lot of analysis on the marketing data. Who did what kind of marketing and what output did they get? So that's what most of these people try to do with the Nielsen's do. So when I try to get all of this together is what we're trying to put together here is exposing business intelligence as a service. What that means is, can I go to the web and search for a report which compares some of the attributes which are related to me to the attributes, comparable attributes across the globe, and what does that mean to me? Does it give me any visualization of where I stand in the kind of comparison that I'm trying to do? So that's having business intelligence as a service, which I'm exposing a service and then which is available to the world. Okay, kind of a little complex structure. If you remember the first slide that I showed, which looked very simple, this is not necessarily a textbook architecture, it's an architecture that's evolving. This is the architecture that we want to put in place. So these are the operation systems and external data sources. This is the same staging area that is there already, which if you remember, this is the enterprise model that you have built, the ER diagrams and all of that. For all those who are doing the relational databases, you will hear this. And this particular piece is an introduction that I'm talking about, the service layer and the risk model. So this introduction to architecture, what it means, you can see your business rules engines, risk and pricing models. So what we're trying to say there is, can I introduce this new structure into this architecture, into this common platform? That the very first slide that I showed you, this is the technology part of it, what lies behind it. So if I can bring all of these layers in between that whole picture that I showed in the beginning, I probably can drive a data mart which is more relevant to the kind of analysis that I'm trying to do. So if I can drive my business rules and parameters and models that I want to do, like for example, what I'm intending to do by getting in Deepika into a particular ad is I'm trying to sell more either in South India or in North India, or I'm trying to sell more in the whole of the world, or I'm trying to sell more in the whole of India. So if I can bring, so what I'm trying to tell you is if I can bring that into the business rule engine here, If I can do that analysis by collating the data that we already have, then I can build a model, which is a cube, which is a multi-dimensional view of what you want to see. So here is a business rule, here is all those transformations, Fourier transforms, semantic modeling, all those stuff that is used to build this model. And then I have a star model which can give me this kind of an analysis. It probably, I mean, I'm not saying this is the answer, I'm saying this is one of an attempt to the answer, to say that I can probably predict your bank by giving loan to this person will do well or will not do well. Or your bank by introducing this product will do well or will not do well. An example of that, just to give some examples of where it is done and where it is not done. If you all remember, there was a popular brand, Toyota Qualis, which existed some years back. Toyota as a company decided to stop that, and they introduced what? Innova. It's one of the very rare models where they stop the product completely and reintroduce a new product, and then it's selling better than the old one. So can I do that kind of an analysis sitting in the boardroom? Another example, Verna gets Hyundai i10, all were introduced to phase out the old models. Example, Verna was introduced to phase out Accent, i10 was introduced to phase out Santro, but they're not doing that because they probably don't have the expertise, or they do not have the gut feel to do that. It's probably because they don't have this analysis. And I'm not saying they don't have it, I'm saying these are all the ones which can drive, and I'm trying to pick up examples from the market which will help you guys understand what this whole model is trying to do. So if I can, the core essence is, if I can build my business rules and risk pricing and all the other models as one of the layers before I do my entire technology part of it. So if I can do this model introduced, then when I collect data from table A in this particular table, in this particular database, and I can build this, before I build this model, if I can put this together, then I have a process, then I've come up with the technology or come up with the model which will help me predict. By doing this, I'll do good, I'll do bad, I probably will achieve my results, I probably will not achieve my results, and then based on the business decision, I can decide whether I'll take that risk and go forward in the market or not. So this is kind of an extrapolation that we have done. So if you see here again, this is the ATL, which is the extract transformational load, which is one of the cores in data warehousing. And then if you see here the visual rules in the business platform, these are the ones which are at the bottom, these are the ones which you're talking about now, which will give you visualization of what your business or what your company is going to do as we go forward. Okay, so what is it? I'm probably throwing in too much of technical jargon, but what does it mean from an architecture perspective if you were to put up an architecture? So this is already existing. Data services, data layer is already existing. So that's all the data that your organization has. And you're going to integrate all the data that is available to make a decision. And then we have this IT initiative. These are the new things that I was talking about. So we've got business intelligence, we've got SaaS, which is service as a, software as a service, or which I introduced as a BI as a service. So I've got this, and then PPO is the operational part of it. If you remember in that triangular kind of slide that I showed, the operational part of it which is in the top, and then that driven by the business is what this intelligent business is all about. And then if I can build a model, so the essence of this entire talk that I was trying to give here is that this is the business model of the intelligent business, and then what I can build on top of it is trying to enable that through the technology part of it. So extending data warehousing and business intelligence to do this kind of stuff. So that's what it does, and that's the architecture what it talks about. So I've probably picked up some examples. We can move on. Okay. So what I have here is, and if you remember as an example that I told in the beginning, I've built a warehouse. What this means is, let's say for example, have you guys heard of RFID or any of these technologies? Fingerprinting, scanning your finger, thermal energy and all of that. If you guys have heard of it or try to do some read up on that. So what this means is, if I enter a bank and if I have my number, let's say my cell phone number, if there is a system that reads the cell phone number as I enter the bank, and that's possible through RFIDs or through several other technologies, thermal and all of that. Like if you saw yesterday, there was some geography people saying that in the US that Osama bin Laden is in Pakistan. So that's thermal and imaging and all of that the technology is available. So if I can combine all of this, and as I enter the bank, through your phone, through your ID card or through your ATM card or whatever that the bank has given you, these things are possible. They can identify me. The moment I enter the bank, people in the bank will know that Ranjiv has entered the bank. And as I was taking the same example before, Ranjiv generally comes in and asks for loan products. Or generally Ranjiv comes in and sells a product or invests in the thing. So this model, what we're talking about here is the moment you enter a bank, and in fact we have built this model as well, the moment you enter the bank, the people who are sitting, the customer representative sitting in the bank will know that Ranjiv has entered number one. Number two, these are the things that he generally does. Number three, these are his geography. He's got a son, his wife does this, his parents do this, these are the data that's available. Let's say for example 3 years back, let's perceive an example with me itself. 3 years back when my father retired, obviously my father when he retired from a government service he got a lot of money. And then if you can link these two, think of this scenario. My father is retired, let's say 2 weeks back, I'm entering the bank, and if the bank knows that my father is retired, and that's assuming that both of us have the same banking system, if he knows that there's a possibility of Ranjiv having a lot of money, now let's try to get that money and invest it somewhere. That's one example. Another example is, let's say, you won a lottery, or you withdrew a lot of money. So when you withdraw a lot of money from the bank, that system is available, that data is available. If you won a lottery, that data is available with you because all these are regulatory data which has to be published. So when you have all this data with you, and if Ranjiv is entering the bank, what should you sell him? If he is coming with a lot of money, you should sell him an investment product. So if I sell an investment product to him, you will be able to make more money out of it. The bank can generate more revenues out of it. And all this is happening without Ranjiv talking to anybody in the bank. So that's the model that this talks about. Okay, it collates all the data together, available in the market, in the social domain, and there are a lot of personal data which you cannot share. So whatever is available in the personal domain, you're collating and putting together, and then what you're trying to build there is relationship marketing applications, profitability applications, and risk application. Do I give him a loan or not, and all of that, and what are the assets that he has. So can I build all of this? These are models that are built and in a proof of concept stage, or trying to implement it across the major customers. So this is one of the examples that I've taken. So these are the examples that I was talking about, right? I've received a large bonus. What would you do with that money? Just sold a house. What do you do with that money? So if I can get all of this data, and then if I can attack a customer with that particular thing, then I can make more business value. Then I can probably help banks from not sinking or crashing in this world. So this is a retail thing which I already told you, right? How do I do a customer acquisition? How do I do success and loyalty? So if you take the example of Samsung, so if Samsung customer representative had that knowledge within that he's already bought all the products and you don't have to sell anything to him, so that's where you get the customer loyalty and success. So we've got a combination of all of this together, and then putting it in the retail. If I do all of this analysis, what this means end of the day is dollars, and what that means in Indian terms is rupaya, money. End of the day, that's what most of us run for, right? There are very few people who are spiritually driven. Most of us are driven by money. So that's what the corporates in the business world is all about. So what all of this leads to is, end of the day, money and more dollars and more revenues. And you probably don't have economic slowdown. You probably don't have offers being rejected. You probably don't have fear of what do I do if I don't get a job and those kind of scenarios. So if you can get a predictive model which is built on all of this, and you can read through. We can have all of the system in place, and I can probably predict the system which comes up and ends up showing a lot of money. So that's pretty much that I had. Okay, so this is an extension of that, and what this means is what kind of an ad. With that all the analysis in the retail world, what it would mean is what ad would I give to a particular product, what kind of ad will sell in which area and all of that. An example of this, just to give an example of that. TVS 50 probably has very low sales in Kerala. It has very low sales in Karnataka as well. But you go to Tamil Nadu, you'll see that product selling like hotcake. TVS 50 a moped, if you guys have not heard or seen, TVS 50 a moped sells like hotcake in Tamil Nadu as against any other place. Right? With the Aneti Prao, what happened, I don't know if there's any guys from Kerala here, Aneti Prao kind of drove or increased the sales of Hero Honda Splendor in Kerala, which was the cue for Hero Honda sales increase in other states. And these are all reality examples that I'm giving you. So what this means is the best ad pick, whom do I take for the best ad, how would I position a particular person in a particular location to do the ad and all of that. So this is a retail example. And that's all I had. So end of the day, what I'm trying to tell you here is that We already have business intelligence, we already have the mechanism and processes in place to have business intelligence, have to have the reporting and structure and all of that in place. Now what do I do to convert each organization into an intelligent business model, and what can we drive, what can we as technologists do from the background to drive that. So these are the scenarios that I walk you through, and I think that's all I have. So once again, thank you, but before that, open for questions if there's any, if you think, if you had any questions or doubts that you would want me to answer.
Inauguration ceremony with our national anthem. So I call upon Ms. Soumya and Ms. Shruti for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय